Thank you for joining us today for We Know Their Names, a virtual Srebrenica commemoration. My name is Ida Sefer, and I serve as the president of the board for the Bosnian American Genocide Institute, a nonprofit organization dedicated to research and education pertaining to the genocides that occurred in Bosnia and in the Balkans. We have gathered virtually today to honor the victims and survivors of the genocide in Srebrenica that occurred in 1995, from July 11th through July 22nd. Where 8,373 Bosnian Muslims, primarily men and boys, were executed in the Srebrenica region of Bosnia and Herzegovina. And every year on July 11th, we recognize this day as a day of mourning as we commemorate the Srebrenica genocide. This year marks the 30th anniversary of the Srebrenica genocide. To fully contextualize the story of the Srebrenica genocide, we must look back to the spring of 1992. When the war and genocide began in Bosnia and Herzegovina. After the death of Yugoslavia's primary leader, Josip Broz Tito, Islamophobic ethno-nationalism escalated throughout Yugoslavia for well over a decade before the citizens of Bosnia declared independence. As Slovenia and Croatia declared independence, the leadership and weaponry of the Yugoslav National Army became centralized in Serbia. The Islamophobic rhetoric and warmongering concerned many residents of Bosnia and Herzegovina, which led to a push for sovereignty in 1991. However, after a lack of recognition by the European Economic Community, the citizens of Bosnia and Herzegovina held a referendum for independence from the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia in spring of 1992 to validate the population's need for independence. With a voter turnout larger than 60%, 99.7% of voters agreed to an independent Bosnia and Herzegovina. The population of Bosnia and Herzegovina was historically very diverse in ethnic and religious composition, which included populations who held a firm belief in Islam, Christianity, Judaism, and many others who did not align themselves to a faith at all. Out of the 4 million residents, Muslim Bosnians, often referred to as Bosniaks, made up about 44% of the population, in comparison to 31% of Christian Orthodox Serbs and 17% of Catholic Croats who were also residents and citizens of Bosnia. On April 6, 1992, the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina received recognition from the European Economic Community and the United States as an independent nation. The creation of an independent Bosnian nation that would have had Bosnian Muslims, Bosniaks, as a majority was opposed by many ethno-nationalist Bosnian Serbs, who launched a military campaign with the support of the Serbian government and the Yugoslav National Army. Their primary goal was to secure the territory of Bosnia and Herzegovina and to terrorize the Muslim civilian population through organized concentration camps, physical, emotional, and sexual torture, which included sexual assault, trafficking, enslavement, and forced birthing, dehumanization, the erasure of the Bosnian Muslim identity, history, and language, expulsion and theft of property, deprivation of resources, starvation, and planned and organized execution of men, women, children, and the elderly. What began with the shelling of Sarajevo on April 6, 1992, spread throughout Bosnia from concentration camps in larger cities to absolute annihilations of entire family trees in smaller villages. After 3 years of occupation, and after being designated a safe area by the United Nations in 1993, Srebrenica was overrun in July of 1995 by Bosnian Serb forces led by General Ratko Mladic. With no resistance from UN peacekeepers, Bosnian Serb militia began to systematically separate families and communities by separating the Bosniak men and boys from the women and girls. The men and boys were rounded up and taken to various execution and torture sites, where they were killed en masse and buried in 94 different mass grave sites. Some women and girls were taken to never be seen again, while others were sexually assaulted and were prevented from seeking help when they were forcibly impregnated. Young children and the elderly were not exempt from this violence. As the youngest victim, Fatima Muhic, was less than a day old when she died, while Saha Izmirlic was 94 years old when she died. According to the International Commission of Missing Persons, 563 children and 60 women were murdered in Srebrenica. The international community, represented by the United Nations peacekeeping forces, failed to protect the 8,373 men, women, children, and the elderly from being brutally murdered, all while the victims were misled into believing that they would receive protection in the event of an ambush. The brutality of the Srebrenica genocide is unfathomable. The perpetrators, after executing primarily men and boys, would later return with heavy machinery to dig up the mass graves, to disperse the remains of the victims at multiple grave sites in order to conceal the evidence of the genocide. And many victims' remains were often found in 3 to 4 mass graves as a result. Many families would have a funeral to only a year later, or even a decade later, would have to exhume the body of the victim to add the additional remains to the burial. The aftermath of the Srebrenica genocide left deep scars on Bosnia and Herzegovina. According to the International Commission of Missing Persons, of the 8,373 who were murdered in Srebrenica, 7,017 have been identified via their DNA, while there are over 1,000 still missing. To date, 6,772 people have received a proper burial in Srebrenica. This year, 7 additional victims were buried. Senaid Avdic, Haris Mujic, Rifet Gabelic, Hasib Omerovic, Sedalia Alic, Amir Mujcic. Over the 3-year span of the genocidal occupation of Bosnia, 2 million people were displaced, 100,000 people were murdered, 80% of whom were Muslims. Between 20,000 and 50,000 women were sexually assaulted. Over 30,000 people, including men, women, children, and the elderly, were imprisoned in concentration camps. The DNA evidence and the courageous testimony of survivors, some who still face threats of violence and discrimination in Bosnia, efforts towards justice were primarily executed through the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia and the International Courts of Justice, as they both recognized what happened at Srebrenica was a genocide. 20 individuals have been tried at the ICTY. 57 appeared before the State Court of Bosnia and Herzegovina, resulting in 4 life sentences and 38 other sentences due to DNA identification. While accountability has been the primary hurdle for reconciliation, the annual commemoration of the Srebrenica genocide stands as a solemn occasion to remember and mourn the victims and stand in solidarity with victims and survivors. For the last 30 years, thousands of Bosnian diaspora community members have taken the time to recognize July 11th away from Srebrenica as a day of mourning and remembrance. Some even through city, state, and country proclamations and resolutions. Last year, the UN General Assembly designated July 11th as the International Day of Reflection and Commemoration of the 1995 genocide in Srebrenica. These commemorations of the Srebrenica genocide on July 11th hold profound significance, not only for the victims and their families, but also for other victims and survivors of the genocide in Bosnia, whose perpetrators have escaped accountability. Over the next few days, you will hear a number of volunteers from around the world who have taken the time to read the names of all of the Srebrenica genocide victims. While you may not know these names personally, we want you to take the time to listen and/or read the names being recited. You may hear the same name multiple times, and that is not in error. These are all individuals who died during the Srebrenica genocide. The genocide in Srebrenica, which culminated in July of 1995, was not an isolated event, but the final chapter in a broader campaign of systemic persecution and violence against Bosnian Muslims over the period of 3 years. The genocide in Bosnia serves as a stark reminder of the horrors of war and the devastating consequences of ethnic hatred. And as a community of genocide survivors, we must have a collective commitment to truth-telling, justice, and accountability in the face of genocide denial, as we have seen time and time again how it is impacting our current political system. And we cannot do that without recognizing the devastating effects of mass imprisonment and enslavement of the Uyghurs, the destructive invasion of Ukraine, the state-sponsored violence in Syria, the genocide of the Tigray in Ethiopia, the devastating violence in Sudan, and the frightening use of military power to imprison innocent refugees and immigrants in the United States. And of course, the longest modern-day and internationally sponsored occupation and genocide of the people of Palestine. As a community of survivors, we cannot stay silent as others are dehumanized and violence against them is argued as justified and acceptable retaliation. There is no justified retaliation against a civilian population. July 11th is vital in preserving the historical record and countering denial and revisionism. By remembering and documenting the atrocities committed during the Srebrenica genocide, we confront the past and reject any attempts to distort or deny the truth. It stands as a collective commitment to truth-telling, justice, and accountability. And the first truth that must be spoken is a name. And with this act, we will know all 8,373 of their names. Thank you.
Muharrem Nukic, 58 years old. Mujo Nukic, 16 years old. Mujo Nukic, 30 years old. Mujo Nukic, 37 years old. Munib Nukic, 51 years old. Nermin Nukic, 17 years old. Nermin Nukic, 18 years old. Nazir Nukic, 46 years old. Nazir Nukic, 53 years old. Nuko Nurkic, 38 years old. Orhan Nukic, 57 years old. Osman Nukic, 59 years old. Osman Nukic, unknown age at death. Ragib Nukic, 67 years old. Ramiz Nukic, 32 years old. Ramo Nukic, 44 years old. Ramo Nukic, 64 years old. Ramo Nukic, 70 years old. Shahin Nukic, 54 years old. Sakib Nukic, 24 years old. Sead Nukic, 33 years old. Shefik Nukic, 27 years old. Seydalia Nukic, 46 years old. Semir Nukic, 34 years old. Shamsuddin Nukic, 30 years old. Smile Nukic, 36 years old. Smajo Nukic, 44 years old. Shukriya Nukic, 31 years old. Shukriya Nukic, 36 years old. Shukriya Nukic, 53 years old. Suleiman Nukic, 25 years old. Suljo Nukic, 54 years old. Vekas Nukic, 24 years old. Velid Nukic, 19 years old. Zaim Nukic, 46 years old. Edhem Numanovic, 46 years old. Ekrem Numanović, 20 years old. Ibrahim Numanović, 41 years old. Juso Numanović, 22 years old. Nejad Numanović, 22 years old. Rashid Numanović, 63 years old. Rašo Numanović, 18 years old. Sabir Numanović, 22 years old. Sadik Numanović, 18 years old. Sejd Numanović, 18 years old. Vahid Numanović, 28 years old. Edin Okanović, 26 years old. Mujo Okanović, 63 years old. Šaban Okanović, 30 years old. Ahmet Omanović, 47 years old. Sejdalija Omanović, 55 years old. Abdullah Omerović, 21 years old. Abdullah Omerović, 49 years old. Abdulrahman Omerović, 36 years old. Abid Omerović, 34 years old. Abid Omerović, 43 years old. Adem Omerović, 19 years old. Adem Omerović, 56 years old. Adib Omerović, 18 years old. Adil Omerović, 16 years old. Adil Omerović, unknown age at death. Ahmedin Omerović, 18 years old. Ahmed Omerović, 55 years old. Ahmed Omerović, 58 years old. Ahmo Omerović, 24 years old. Ahmo Omerović, 29 years old. Ahmo Omerović, 49 years old. Alija Omerović, 20 years old. Alija Omerović, 45 years old. Alija Omerović, 52 years old. Alija Omerović, 54 years old. Alija Omerović, 59 years old. Alija Omerović, 66 years old. Alija Omerović, 67 years old. Aljo Omerović, 50 years old. Aljo Omerović, 58 years old. Amir Omerović, 23 years old. Amir Omerović, 21 years old. Amir Omerović, 26 years old. Asim Omerović, 17 years old. Asim Omerović, 22 years old. Avdo Omerović, 68 years old. Aziz Omerović, 23 years old. Aziz Omerović, 30 years old. Azmir Omerović, 27 years old. Bayazit Omerović, unknown age at death. Bayro Omerović, 43 years old. Bajlo Omerović, 59 years old. Bajro Omerović, 62 years old. Bajro Omerović, 65 years old. Bajro Omerović, unknown age at that. Bego Omerović, 66 years old. Behadil Omerović, 38 years old. Behara Omerović, 35 years old. Benjamin Omerović, unknown age at that. Chamil Omerović, 21 years old. Durija Omerović, unknown age at that. Jemail Omerović, 40 years old. Jemail Omerović, 36 years old. Jemal Omerović, 40 years old.
My name is Ahmed Salihovic. I will be reading the names of 100 victims who were murdered in the genocide in Srebrenica. Džemo Omerović, 40 years old. Edin Omerović, 20 years old. Ekrem Omerović, 27 years old. Ekrija Omerović, 29 years old. Emir Omerović, 19 years old. Emir Omerović, 22 years old. Enes Omerović, 37 years old. Enis Omerović, 16 years old. Esed Omerović, 46 years old. Fadil Omerović, 25 years old. Fadil Omerović, 29 years old. Fadil Omerović, 30 years old. Fehim Omerović, 41 years old. Fehim Omerović, 53 years old. Fehim Omerović, unknown age, at death. Fuad Omerović, 18 years old. Galib Omerović, 28 years old. Habib Omerović, 27 years old. Habib Omerović, 30 years old. Habib Omerović, 43 years old. Hairo Omerović, unknown age, at death. Hairudin Omerović, 18 years old. Halid Omerović, 28 years old. Halid Omerović, 37 years old. Hamdia Omerović, 24 years old. Hamed Omerović, 20 years old. Hamed Omerović, 31 years old. Hamed Omerović, 56 years old. Hamza Omerović, 66 years old. Hassan Omerović, 29 years old. Hassan Omerović, 30 years old. Hassan Omerović, 30 years old. Hassan Omerović, 42 years old. Hassan Omerović, 43 years old. Hasib Omerović, 34 years old. Hasib Omerović, 37 years old. Hazim Omerović, 27 years old. Himza Omerović, 38 years old. Himza Omerović, 49 years old. Hurem Omerović, 67 years old. Hussein Omerovich, 17 years old. Hussein Omerovich, 41 years old. Hussein Omerovich, 43 years old. Hussein Omerovich, 49 years old. Hussein Omerovich, 53 years old. Husid Omerovich, 25 years old. Husref Omerovich, 21 years old. Ibrahim Omerovich, 34 years old. Ibrahim Omerovich, 37 years old. Ibrahim Omerovich, 50 years old. Ibrahim Omerovich, 57 years old. Ibro Omerovich, 68 years old. Ismet Omerovich, 66 years old. Izet Omerovich, 50 years old. Yasmin Omerovich, 26 years old. Yuso Omerovich, 56 years old. Yusuf Omerovich, 33 years old. Kadria Omerovich, 30 years old. Kadria Omerovich, 75 years old. Kasim Omerovich, 16 years old. Mahmud Omerovich, 42 years old. Maho Omerovich, 21 years old. Mehdin Omerovich, 35 years old. Mehidin Omerovich, 35 years old. Mehmed Omerovich, 18 years old. Mehmed Omerovich, 23 years old. Mehmed Omerovich, 50 years old. Mehmed Omerovich, 52 years old. Mehmedalia Omerovich, 30 years old. Mehmedalia Omerovich, 33 years old. Meho Omerovich, 33 years old. Meho Omerovich, 37 years old. Meho Omerovich, 41 years old. Meho Omerovich, 53 years old. Meho Omerovich, unknown age at death. Mensur Omerovich, 30 years old. Mersudin Omerovich, 16 years old. Meshan Omerovich, 52 years old. Mevludin Omerovich, 21 years old. Mevzad Omerovich, 16 years old. Mihad Omerovich, 21 years old. Mirfet Omerovich, 25 years old. Mirsad Omerovich, 21 years old. Mirsad Omerovich, 27 years old. Mirzad Omerovich, 16 years old. Mirzat Omerovich, 34 years old. Muhammad Omerovich, 20 years old. Muhammad Omerovich, 24 years old. Muhammad Omerovich, 30 years old. Muharrem Omerovich, 26 years old. Muharrem Omerovich, 51 years old. Muyo Omerovich, 29 years old. Muyo Omerovich, 43 years old. Muyo Omerovich, 51 years old. Munib Omerovich, 36 years old. Muradif Omerovich, 35 years old. Murat Omerovich, 24 years old. Musa Omerovich, 33 years old. Mustafa Omerovich, 58 years old. Mustafa Omerovich, 67 years old.
My name is Adis Halilovic. Today I'll be reading the names of 100 victims who were murdered during the genocide in Srebrenica. Nazif Omerovic, 40 years old. Nazif Omerovic, 42 years old. Nazif Omerovic, 64 years old. Nazif Omerovic, 73 years old. Najib Omerovic, 32 years old. Nazir Omerovic, 42 years old. Nazir Omerovic, 47 years old. Nazir Omerovic, 57 years old. Nihad Omerovic, 21 years old. Nuria Omerovic, 30 years old. Nuria Omerovic, 42 years old. Nurko Omerovic, 63 years old. Nusmir Omerovic, 17 years old. Nusret Omerovic, 39 years old. Omer Omerovic, 39 years old. Omer Omerovic, 45 years old. Omer Omerovic, 57 years old. Osman Omerovic, 25 years old. Osman Omerovic, 35 years old. Osman Omerovic, 62 years old. Osmo Omerovic, 25 years old. Osmo Omerovic, 47 years old. Ragib Omerovic, 41 years old. Rahman Omerovic, 75 years old. Ramiz Omerovic, 32 years old. Ramiz Omerovic, 36 years old. Ramiz Omerovic, 40 years old. Ramo Omerovic, 27 years old. Ramo Omerovic, 35 years old. Rasim Omerovic, 43 years old. Reggio Omerovic, 38 years old. Refik Omerovic, 23 years old. Remzuddin Omerovic, 18 years old. Rifet Omerovic, 46 years old. Rifet Omerovic, 78 years old. Sabahuddin Omerovic, 20 years old. Shaban Omerovic, 48 years old. Shaban Omerovic, 60 years old. Sabit Omerovic, 25 years old. Sabria Omerovic, 29 years old. Sabria Omerovic, 30 years old. Sadiq Omerovic, 21 years old. Safa Omerovic, 41 years old. Shaheen Omerovic, 57 years old. Shahman Omerovich, 20 years old. Said Omerovich, 25 years old. Sakib Omerovich, 29 years old. Salih Omerovich, 25 years old. Salih Omerovich, 28 years old. Salih Omerovich, 56 years old. Salim Omerovich, 22 years old. Samir Omerovich, 19 years old. Samir Omerovich, 19 years old. Sanel Omerovich, 17 years old. Seyad Omerovich, 20 years old. Seyad Omerovich, 21 years old. Seyad Omerovich, 40 years old. Shefik Omerovich, 18 years old. Shefik Omerovich, 30 years old. Shefik Omerovich, 42 years old. Salim Omerovich, 18 years old. Shema Omerovich, 63 years old. Senad Omerovich, 16 years old. Senad Omerovich, 31 years old. Senahid Omerovich, 33 years old. Senaid Omerovich, 20 years old. Shevko Omerovich, 35 years old. Sinan Omerovich, 44 years old. Smail Omerovich, 33 years old. Suleiman Omerovich, 26 years old. Suleiman Omerovich, 29 years old. Suleiman Omerovich, 37 years old. Suleiman Omerovich, 56 years old. Suleiman Omerovich, 56 years old. Sulya Omerovich, 33 years old. Sulya Omerovich, 37 years old. Sulya Omerovich, 43 years old. Sulya Omerovich, 48 years old. Sulya Omerovich, 49 years old. Sulya Omerovich, 57 years old. Sulya Omerovich, 59 years old. Sulya Omerovich, 73 years old. Tahir Omerovich, 49 years old. Vahid Omerovich, 28 years old. Velid Omerovich, 18 years old. Zaim Omerovich, 55 years old. Zainil Omerovich, 41 years old. Zenuddin Omerovich, 18 years old. Ziyad Omerovich, 25 years old. Zulfo Omerovich, 38 years old. Agonia Omerspahic, 41 years old. Belmir Omerspahic, 17 years old. Esmin Omerspahic, 22 years old. Huso Omerspahic, 57 years old. Abdullah Omic, 42 years old. Alaga Omic, 42 years old. Aljo Omic, 42 years old. Aziz Omic, 44 years old. Bayro Omic, 37 years old. Fahruddin Omic, 47 years old.
My name is Shahza Osmanovic. Today I will be reading the names of 100 victims who were murdered during the genocide in Srebrenica. Yunus Omic, 69 years old. Nuria Omic, 62 years old. Osman Omic, 23 years old. Sabria Omic, 29 years old. Sakib Omic, 29 years old. Shevko Omic, 39 years old. Zaid Omic, 16 years old. Ibro Ordagic, 43 years old. Nermin Ordagic, 17 years old. Abdurrahman Oric, 52 years old. Amir Oric, 28 years old. Avdia Oric, 15 years old. Avdo Oric, 19 years old. Bayro Oric, 28 years old. Behaya Oric, 45 years old. Chazim Oric, 63 years old. Elvir Oric, 19 years old. Hayro Oric, 45 years old. Hayruddin Oric, 48 years old. Khalid Oric, 33 years old. Hasa Oric, 30 years old. Ibrahim Oric, 51 years old. Mehan Oric, 29 years old. Mehmed Oric, 40 years old. Mehmed Oric, 63 years old. Mensur Oric, 19 years old. Muharrem Oric, 55 years old. Munib Oric, 32 years old. Munib Oric, 45 years old. Nermin Oric, 22 years old. Omer Oric, 46 years old. Ramiz Oric, 46 years old. Ramo Oric, 28 years old. Sabahuddin Oric, 28 years old. Sadik Oric, 25 years old. Shahin Oric, 43 years old. Salko Oric, 48 years old. Samir Oric, 20 years old. Sedalia Oric, 34 years old. Semir Oric, 21 years old. Sezan Oric, 26 years old. Smajo Oric, 49 years old. Shukria Oric, 29 years old. Veysel Oric, 19 years old. Hayruddin Orlovic, 36 years old. Muaz Orlovic, 17 years old. Mustafa Orlović, 23 years old. Ramiz Orlović, 19 years old. Shaban Orlović, 23 years old. Shachir Orlović, 53 years old. Sulejman Orlović, 50 years old. Shukriya Osmanagić, 40 years old. Abdullah Osmanović, 22 years old. Abdullah Osmanović, 31 years old. Abdullah Osmanović, 40 years old. Abdullah Osmanović, 57 years old. Abdullah Osmanović, 66 years old. Abdurrahman Osmanović, 30 years old. Ahmedin Osmanović, 15 years old. Ahmet Osmanović, 50 years old. Alia Osmanović, 51 years old. Ariz Osmanović, 24 years old. Avdo Osmanović, 18 years old. Abdullah Osmanović, 37 years old. Azem Osmanović, 19 years old. Azem Osmanović, 36 years old. Azem Osmanović, unknown age at death. Aziz Osmanović, 63 years old. Azmir Osmanović, 16 years old. Bahriya Osmanović, 22 years old. Bego Osmanović, 48 years old. Bekaz Osmanović, 39 years old. Benjamin Osmanović, 20 years old. Besim Osmanović, 36 years old. Cemal Osmanović, 37 years old. Cemal Osmanović, 38 years old. Edhem Osmanović, 44 years old. Edin Osmanović, 16 years old. Edmir Osmanović, 18 years old. Elvir Osmanović, 17 years old. Elvir Osmanović, 18 years old. Elvir Osmanović, 19 years old. Elvis Osmanović, 15 years old. Esad Osmanović, 29 years old. Esed Osmanović, 19 years old. Faruk Osmanović, 22 years old. Fikret Osmanović, 30 years old. Haydin Osmanović, 22 years old. Hayrudin Osmanović, 30 years old. Hayrudin Osmanović, 56 years old. Hayrullah Osmanović, 46 years old. Hakia Osmanović, 53 years old. Halid Osmanović, 33 years old. Hamdia Osmanović, 33 years old. Hamdia Osmanović, 48 years old. Hamed Osmanović, 54 years old. Hamid Osmanović, 39 years old. Hariz Osmanović, 24 years old. Hasib Osmanović, 23 years old. Hasib Osmanović, 52 years old.
My name is Anessa Hrnic. Today I will be reading the names of 100 victims who were murdered during the genocide in Srebrenica. Hasib Osmanovic, 56 years old. Haso Osmanovic, unknown age at death. Havka Osmanovic, 23 years old. Hirkia Osmanovic, 56 years old. Huso Osmanovic, 48 years old. Ibrahim Osmanovic, 41 years old. Ibrahim Osmanovic, 49 years old. Ibrahim Osmanovic, 60 years old. Ibro Osmanovic, 44 years old. Ibro Osmanovic, 48 years old. Ibro Osmanovic, 55 years old. Idris Osmanovic, 68 years old. Ismail Osmanovic, 18 years old. Ismet Osmanovic, 20 years old. Ismet Osmanovic, 54 years old. Isref Osmanovic, 53 years old. Izam Osmanovic, 23 years old. Jakub Osmanovic, 25 years old. Jakub Osmanovic, 65 years old. Yunus Osmanovic, 41 years old. Yusuf Osmanovic, 37 years old. Yusuf Osmanovic, 51 years old. Kadriya Osmanovic, 39 years old. Medin Osmanovic, 15 years old. Mehmed Osmanovic, 52 years old. Mehmed Osmanovic, 66 years old. Mehmedalia Osmanovic, 42 years old. Mehmedalia Osmanovic, 45 years old. Meho Osmanovic, 35 years old. Meho Osmanovic, 37 years old. Meho Osmanovic, 39 years old. Meho Osmanovic, 53 years old. Merim Osmanovic, 19 years old. Mevlid Osmanovic, 32 years old. Mevludin Osmanovic, 27 years old. Mevludin Osmanovic, 32 years old. Mevludin Osmanovic, 35 years old. Mevludin Osmanovic, 37 years old. Mevludin Osmanovic, unknown age at death. Mirnez Osmanovic, 18 years old. Mirzet Osmanovic, 17 years old. Muaz Osmanovic, 29 years old. Muhammad Osmanovic, 19 years old. Muhibia Osmanovic, 60 years old. Muhyiddin Osmanovic, 22 years old. Muhyiddin Osmanovic, 32 years old. Muyo Osmanovic, 17 years old. Muyo Osmanovic, 40 years old. Muyo Osmanovic, 49 years old. Muyo Osmanovic, unknown age at death. Munib Osmanovic, 37 years old. Nejad Osmanovic, 21 years old. Najib Osmanovic, 17 years old. Nelvir Osmanovic, 19 years old. Nermin Osmanovic, 19 years old. Nermin Osmanovic, 20 years old. Nermin Osmanovic, 20 years old. Nermin Osmanovic, 24 years old. Nasib Osmanovic, 34 years old. Nazir Osmanovic, 49 years old. Nazir Osmanovic, 57 years old. Niyad Osmanovic, 19 years old. Omar Osmanovic, 27 years old. Omar Osmanovic, 30 years old. Omar Osmanovic, 36 years old. Omar Osmanovic, 65 years old. Omar Osmanovic, 69 years old. Osman Osmanovic, 25 years old. Osman Osmanovic, 36 years old. Osman Osmanovic, 42 years old. Osman Osmanovic, 60 years old. Osman Osmanovic, 62 years old. Osman Osmanovic, 66 years old. Rahman Osmanovic, 38 years old. Rahman Osmanovic, 67 years old. Ramiz Osmanovic, 46 years old. Ramo Osmanovic, 22 years old. Ramo Osmanovic, 41 years old. Ramo Osmanovic, 42 years old. Ramo Osmanovic, unknown age at death. Rashid Osmanovic, 45 years old. Rasim Osmanovic, 35 years old. Razia Osmanovic, 37 years old. Rafik Osmanovic, 32 years old. Ramzia Osmanovic, 21 years old. Rifet Osmanovic, 19 years old. Rifet Osmanovic, 32 years old. Rifet Osmanovic, 59 years old. Shaban Osmanovic, 33 years old. Shaban Osmanovic, 43 years old. Shaban Osmanovic, 59 years old. Shaban Osmanovic, 66 years old. Sabit Osmanovic, 30 years old. Sabit Osmanovic, 31 years old. Sadiq Osmanovic, 19 years old. Sadiq Osmanovic, 21 years old. Safet Osmanovic, 75 years old. Saqib Osmanovic, 29 years old. Salchin Osmanovic, 21 years old. Salko Osmanovic, 43 years old.
My name is Amina Pezic. Today I will be reading off 100 names of victims who were murdered during the Srebrenica genocide. Samir Osmanovic, unknown age of death. Sayad Osmanovic, 21 years old. Sayad Osmanovic, 25 years old. Shecha Osmanovic, 52 years old. Shecha Osmanovic, 62 years old. Shefik Osmanovic, 34 years old. Shafik Osmanovic, 42 years old. Shafikia Osmanovic, 46 years old. Salman Osmanovic, 38 years old. Salman Osmanovic, 48 years old. Salman Osmanovic, 58 years old. Shamsa Osmanovic, 66 years old. Sanad Osmanovic, 20 years old. Sanad Osmanovic, 23 years old. Sanaid Osmanovic, 38 years old. Sharif Osmanovic, 48 years old. Shevka Osmanovic, 52 years old. Sinan Osmanovic, 55 years old. Smile Osmanovic, 18 years old. Smile Osmanovic, 63 years old. Suleiman Osmanovic, 15 years old. Uzaid Osmanovic, 51 years old. Vahdet Osmanovic, 30 years old. Velid Osmanovic, 17 years old. Zihra Osmanovic, 36 years old. Aziz Osmic, 20 years old. Ibrahim Osmic, 49 years old. Mehmedalia Osmic, 38 years old. Ahmed Osmic, 49 years old. Sabahuddin Osmic, 21 years old. Zehruddin Osmic, 24 years old. Veha Otanovic, 61 years old. Haris Palalic, 21 years old. Yusuf Palalic, 49 years old. Mevlid Palalic, 33 years old. Midhat Palalic, 17 years old. Alia Palic, 39 years old. Abda Palic, 37 years old. Fikret Palic, 15 years old. Halil Palic, 45 years old. Ibra Palic, 71 years old. Ismet Palic, 43 years old. Muhammad Palic, 17 years old. Nuria Palic, 18 years old. Seydalia Palic, 36 years old. Suna Palic, 42 years old. Husa Paraganlia, 66 years old. Muya Paraganlia, 30 years old. Ramiz Paraganlia, 38 years old. Alem Paric, 17 years old. Fakhruddin Paric, 35 years old. Fatima Paric, 74 years old. Riza Paric, 49 years old. Shafiq Paric, 52 years old. Mevludin Pashagic, 56 years old. Azim Pashalic, 52 years old. Hamid Pashalic, 59 years old. Mehmedalia Pashalic, 30 years old. Muhammad Pashalic, 28 years old. Muhammad Pashalic, 59 years old. Muharrem Pashalic, 60 years old. Muya Pashalic, 59 years old. Saito Pashalic, 55 years old. Ahmed Pashic, 15 years old. Beriz Pashic, 29 years old. Gaddafi Pashic, 21 years old. Ibrahim Pashic, 53 years old. Mesud Pashic, 39 years old. Mevludin Pashic, 45 years old. Muhammad Pashic, 17 years old. Muhammad Pashic, 19 years old. Pashan Pashic, 19 years old. Rama Pashic, 76 years old. Zia Pashic, 39 years old. Kadriya Peymanovic, 33 years old. Ahmed Peymanovic, 43 years old. Edin Peymanovic, 20 years old. Asaf Peymanovic, 27 years old. Mirzat Peymanovic, 23 years old. Muya Peymanovic, 50 years old. Refik Peymanovic, 39 years old. Takmaz Peymanovic, 47 years old. Teofik Peymanovic, 29 years old. Selim Pezic, 65 years old. Bayra Perhatovic, 48 years old. Yusuf Perhatovic, 59 years old. Lutfa Perhatovic, 32 years old. Mevludin Perhatovic, 19 years old. Mirzet Perhatovic, 18 years old. Muharrem Perhatovic, 28 years old. Rahman Perhatovic, 33 years old. Safet Perhatovic, 28 years old. Sulya Perhatovic, 61 years old. Zaim Perhatovic, 23 years old. Atif Petinic, 39 years old. Mehmet Petinic, 32 years old. Nurif Petinic, 47 years old. Shevka Petinic, 65 years old. Hasan Pezic, 70 years old. Azam Pilav, 40 years old.
My name is Shadi Bushnak. Today, I will be reading the names of 100 victims who were murdered during the genocide of Srebrenica. Fuad Pilav, 19 years old. Hamid Pilav, 41 years old. Nermin Pilav, 16 years old. Senad Pilav, 20 years old. Smile Pilav, 43 years old. Zaim Pilav, 49 years old. Smile Pirgic, 17 years old. Suljo Pirgic, 41 years old. Hayruddin Piric, 29 years old. Hayruddin Piric, 46 years old. Hasib Piric, 39 years old. Hilmo Piric, 61 years old. Ibrahim Piric, 56 years old. Ibro Piric, 21 years old. Munib Piric, 27 years old. Mustafa Piric, 68 years old. Sadik Piric, 34 years old. Salim Piric, 22 years old. Selim Piric, 25 years old. Adnan Pitarevic, 14 years old. Aziz Pitarevic, 44 years old. Azmir Pitarevic, 17 years old. Bayro Pitarevic, 66 years old. Cemal Pitarevic, unknown age of death. Edin Pitarevic, 20 years old. Elvedin Pitarevic, 18 years old. Ermin Pitarevic, 19 years old. Hakia Pitarevic, 26 years old. Hasan Pitarevic, 62 years old. Huso Pitarevic, 48 years old. Idris Pitarevic, 37 years old. Memish Pitarevic, 53 years old. Mevludin Pitarevic, 31 years old. Mujo Pitarevic, 68 years old. Munib Pitarevic, 42 years old. Omer Pitarevic, 22 years old. Omer Pitarevic, 43 years old. Sadet Pitarevic, 18 years old. Selmo Pitarevic, 66 years old. Suljo Pitarevic, 47 years old. Nermin Pievo, 22 years old. Semiz Pievo, 25 years old. Smile Pievo, 36 years old. Eshef Planic, 17 years old. Mirsad Planic, 24 years old. Mustafa Planic, 18 years old. Osman Planic, 43 years old. Sabahuddin Planic, 26 years old. Becir Pleho, 42 years old. Hadjo Polio, 64 years old. Munib Polio, 54 years old. Ramo Popic, 58 years old. Adil Porobic, 16 years old. Bego Porobic, 62 years old. Behaya Porobic, 31 years old. Bekir Porobic, 34 years old. Elvir Porobic, 17 years old. Enver Porobic, 15 years old. Fuad Porobic, 32 years old. Idris Porobic, 48 years old. Kadria Porobic, 28 years old. Mohamed Porobic, 20 years old. Nurif Porobic, 30 years old. Zaim Porobic, 63 years old. Halil Povlakic, 56 years old. Abdullah Pudilovic, 39 years old. Ahmo Podilovic, 67 years old. Medo Podilovic, 30 years old. Mirzet Podilovic, 16 years old. Rejo Purdic, 82 years old. Admir Purkovic, 16 years old. Aisha Purkovic, 67 years old. Fehim Purkovic, 38 years old. Nutfet Purkovic, 46 years old. Shemso Purkovic, 43 years old. Shevko Purkovic, 44 years old. Edhem Rahmanovic, 76 years old. Mehmet Rahmanovic, 46 years old. Mehmedalia Rahmanovic, unknown age at death. Muhammad Rahmanovic, 46 years old. Osman Rahmanovic, 54 years old. Salko Rahmanovic, 69 years old. Bayro Rahmic, 20 years old. Behadil Rahmic, 36 years old. Dahmo Rahmic, 40 years old. Enver Rahmic, 18 years old. Fahro Rahmic, 41 years old. Habib Rahmic, 52 years old. Ibrahim Rahmic, unknown age at death. Islam Rahmic, 35 years old. Izzet Rahmic, 21 years old. Mefail Rahmic, 26 years old. Mensur Rahmic, 20 years old. Mesud Rahmic, 24 years old. Mirsad Rahmic, 22 years old. Mustafa Rahmic, 16 years old. Nejib Rahmic, 25 years old. Rahmo Rahmic, 43 years old. Rifet Rahmic, 45 years old. Shaban Rahmic, 61 years old.
My name is Berina Smilovic. Today I will be reading 100 names of victims in Srebrenica genocide. Shaban Rahmic, 62 years old. Safet Rahmic, 37 years old. Saleh Rahmic, unknown age at death. Suad Rahmic, unknown age at death. Suad Rahmic, unknown age at death. Sulyo Rahmic, 62 years old. Zirafet Rahmic, 16 years old. Alia Ramcevic, 49 years old. Hussein Ramcevic, 85 years old. Ibrahim Ramcevic, 50 years old. Abdullah Rahmic, 23 years old. Abid Ramic, 18 years old. Adem Ramic, 58 years old. Admir Ramic, 24 years old. Ahmet Ramic, 18 years old. Ahmet Ramic, 44 years old. Asim Ramic, 24 years old. Chazim Ramic, 24 years old. Chazim Ramic, 61 years old. Dahmo Ramic, 20 years old. Damir Ramic, 18 years old. Jemo Ramic, 23 years old. Javad Ramic, 29 years old. Enver Ramic, 21 years old. Ermin Ramic, 18 years old. Fadil Ramic, 35 years old. Fahruddin Ramic, 20 years old. Fazlia Ramic, 50 years old. Hazim Ramic, 26 years old. Hazim Ramic, 36 years old. Hussein Ramic, 39 years old. Hussein Ramic, 56 years old. Ibrahim Ramic, 20 years old. Ibrahim Ramic, 24 years old. Ibrahim Ramic, 62 years old. Ibro Ramic, 26 years old. Ismet Ramic, 46 years old. Yunus Ramic, 53 years old. Qasim Ramic, 46 years old. Kiram Ramic, 20 years old. Mehmedalia Ramic, 20 years old. Midhat Ramic, 21 years old. Mustafa Ramic, 49 years old. Nazif Ramic, 41 years old. Nazir Ramic, 56 years old. Niyaz Ramic, 17 years old. Nisvet Ramic, 24 years old. Osman Ramic, 29 years old. Osman Ramic, 35 years old. Osman Ramic, 48 years old. Ramiz Ramic, 38 years old. Ramiz Ramic, 44 years old. Ramo Ramic, 25 years old. Ramo Ramic, 38 years old. Rasim Ramic, 52 years old. Recep Ramic, 46 years old. Shaban Ramic, 28 years old. Shaban Ramic, 44 years old. Sabit Ramic, 23 years old. Sadat Ramic, 21 years old. Saleh Ramic, 30 years old. Saleh Ramic, 48 years old. Salko Ramic, 43 years old. Salko Ramic, 63 years old. Sead Ramic, 18 years old. Sead Ramic, 27 years old. Selim Ramic, 40 years old. Shamsuddin Ramic, 27 years old. Suleiman Ramic, 17 years old. Zafir Ramic, 20 years old. Memish Razic, 6 years old. Sead Rejepovic, 53 years old. Adem Regic, 30 years old. Asim Regic, 55 years old. Edin Regic, 24 years old. Hakia Regic, 44 years old. Ibro Regic, 16 years old. Ibro Regic, 22 years old. Ramo Regic, 65 years old. Resul Regic, 16 years old. Sachir Regic, 61 years old. Salko Regic, 48 years old. Smile Regic, 57 years old. Suleiman Regic, 30 years old. Erdin Ribic, 23 years old. Adil Rigic, 39 years old. Almir Rigic, 21 years old. Behudin Rigic, 31 years old. Fuad Rigic, 22 years old. Hased Rigic, 21 years old. Hussein Rigic, 20 years old. Islam Rigic, 31 years old. Jakub Rigic, 32 years old. Mehmed Rigic, 21 years old. Nurdin Rigic, 33 years old. Osman Rigic, 17 years old. Raif Rigic, 44 years old. Sakib Rigic, 35 years old. Shevko Rigic, 55 years old.
Hello, this is Tara.
and I will be reading the names of 100 victims who were murdered in the genocide of Srebrenica. Veysel Rijic, 50 years old. Ramiz Rijal, 44 years old. Alija Rijic, 47 years old. Egbar Rijic, 23 years old. Enver Rijic, 21 years old. Hayruddin Rijic, 25 years old. Himzo Rijic, 37 years old. Idris Rijic, unknown age at death. Ismail Rijic, unknown age at death. Izzat Rijic, unknown age at death. Rifat Rijic, 57 years old. Sabahuddin Rijic, 20 years old. Sabahuddin Rijic, 21 years old. Shachar Rijic, 49 years old. Shevko Rijic, 55 years old. Vahidin Rijic, 27 years old. Zajko Rijic, 51 years old. Adil Rizvanovic, 22 years old. Alija Rizvanovic, 51 years old. Amir Rizvanovic, 21 years old. Avdo Rizvanovic, 60 years old. Bego Rizvanovic, 54 years old. Behadil Rizvanovic, 18 years old. Hasan Rizvanovic, 35 years old. Himzo Rizvanovic, 40 years old. Huso Rizvanovic, 44 years old. Meho Rizvanovic, 45 years old. Midhat Rizvanovic, 21 years old. Mirsad Rizvanovic, 25 years old. Mirzat Rizvanovic, 19 years old. Mirzat Rizvanovic, 33 years old. Niyaz Rizvanovic, 17 years old. Rama Rizvanovic, 41 years old. Shaban Rizvanovic, 48 years old. Shachir Rizvanovic, 41 years old. Salih Rizvanovic, 36 years old. Samir Rizvanovic, 31 years old. Seifo Rizvanovic, 40 years old. Shukriya Rizvanovic, 19 years old. Suljo Rizvanovic, 61 years old. Abdurrahman Rizvic, 38 years old. Asim Rizvic, 20 years old. Besim Rizvic, 27 years old. Hassan Rizvic, 44 years old. Ibrahim Rizvic, 58 years old. Rashid Rizvic, 52 years old. Rifat Rizvic, 21 years old. Safat Rizvic, 46 years old. Salih Rizvic, 55 years old. Senad Rizvic, 36 years old. Himzo Rucic, 46 years old. Aziz Shabanovic, 28 years old. Habib Shabanovic, 59 years old. Hussein Shabanovic, 48 years old. Idris Shabanovic, 36 years old. Milyaim Shabanovic, 65 years old. Muyo Shabanovic, 39 years old. Mustafa Shabanovic, 32 years old. Mustafa Shabanovic, 37 years old. Rasim Shabanovic, 50 years old. Shechan Shabanovic, 33 years old. Seifo Shabanovic, 44 years old. Selman Shabanovic, 30 years old. Zio Shabanovic, 28 years old. Adil Shabic, 26 years old. Asim Shabic, 44 years old. Dervish Shabic, 58 years old. Javad Shabic, 20 years old. Ayub Shabic, 17 years old. Hamid Shabic, 55 years old. Ibish Shabic, 23 years old. Ibrahim Shabic, 40 years old. Idris Shabic, 44 years old. Mansour Shabic, 19 years old. Muharim Shabic, 36 years old. Muradif Shabic, 54 years old. Rejo Shabic, 49 years old. Rashid Shabic, 30 years old. Shachir Shabic, 39 years old. Safet Shabic, 36 years old. Senad Shabic, 21 years old. Sulyo Shabic, 50 years old. Esad Sacevic, 29 years old. Mahmoud Shachirovic, 31 years old. Zahid Shachirovic, 57 years old. Hayruddin Sahajic, 36 years old. Sabit Sahajic, 32 years old. Hayruddin Sahanic, 31 years old. Meyrema Shahbegovic, unknown age at death. Adam Shahinovic, 25 years old. Ibro Shahinovic, 32 years old. Ismet Shahinovic, 55 years old. Nadim Shahinovic, 20 years old. Nazir Shahinovic, 39 years old. Shabo Shahinovic, 27 years old. Agan Shahmania, 42 years old. Izzat Shahmanovic, 20 years old. Lutwa Shahmanovic, 61 years old. Mehmed Shahmanovic, unknown age at death.
Hello, my name is Tariq Purivatra. Today I will be reading the names of 100 victims who were murdered during the genocide in Srebrenica. Nurzin Shahmanovic, 28 years old. Ohran Shahmanovic, 64 years old. Hasan Sakic, 30 years old. Adem Shakic, 30 years old. Hussein Shakic, 42 years old. Mahmud Shakic, 55 years old. Maho Shakic, 40 years old. Almir Salchinovic, 21 years old. Behaya Salchinovic, 43 years old. Eyüp Salchinovic, 20 years old. Elvir Salchinovic, 15 years old. Idris Salchinovic, 27 years old. Yunus Salchinovic, 36 years old. Murat Salchinovic, 36 years old. Ramo Salchinovic, 28 years old. Salih Salchinovic, 56 years old. Senad Salchinovic, 19 years old. Smail Salchinovic, 39 years old. Turabia Salchinovic, 46 years old. Vekaz Salchinovic, 39 years old. Aziz Salic, 28 years old. Fahruddin Salic, 20 years old. Galib Salic, 49 years old. Hakia Salic, 64 years old. Hassan Salic, 18 years old. Ramiz Salic, 38 years old. Ramiz Salic, 38 years old. Sakib Salic, 27 years old. Vahid Salic, 21 years old. Abdullah Salihovic, 18 years old. Abdullah Salihovic, 44 years old. Adem Salihovic, 63 years old. Adil Salihovic, 26 years old. Adil Salihovic, 35 years old. Ahmet Salihovic, 48 years old. Ahmet Salihovic, 60 years old. Ahmo Salihovic, 39 years old. Alia Salihovic, 20 years old. Alia Salihovic, 56 years old. Alia Salihovic, 57 years old. Alia Salihovic, 58 years old. Alia Salihovic, 72 years old. Aljo Salihovic, 23 years old. Almedin Salihovic, 21 years old. Almir Salihovic, 17 years old. Asim Salihovic, 55 years old. Avdia Salihovic, 39 years old. Avdo Salihovic, 46 years old. Azim Salihovic, 33 years old. Aziz Salihovic, 32 years old. Bayro Salihovic, 24 years old. Bayro Salihovic, 33 years old. Bayro Salihovic, 52 years old. Bayro Salihovic, unknown age at death. Behaya Salihovic, 36 years old. Behaya Salihovic, 40 years old. Bekir Salihovic, 58 years old. Damir Salihovic, 20 years old. Dino Salihovic, 16 years old. Jemail Salihovic, 21 years old. Jemail Salihovic, 57 years old. Jemal Salihovic, 16 years old. Jevad Salihovic, 26 years old. Jevad Salihovic, 26 years old. Jevad Salihovic, 38 years old. Edhem Salihovic, 50 years old. Emin Salihovic, 48 years old. Emir Salihovic, 19 years old. Enis Salihovic, 17 years old. Ermin Salihovic, 17 years old. Esad Salihovic, 16 years old. Esad Salihovic, 23 years old. Esed Salihovic, 60 years old. Esmin Salihovic, 24 years old. Esmir Salihovic, 21 years old. Fadil Salihovic, 31 years old. Fadil Salihovic, 39 years old. Fahro Salihovic, 16 years old. Fikret Salihovic, 20 years old. Fikret Salihovic, 29 years old. Fikret Salihovic, 39 years old. Hayrudin Salihovic, 17 years old. Hayrudin Salihovic, 22 years old. Hayrudin Salihovic, 35 years old. Hayrudin Salihovic, 55 years old. Khalid Salihovic, 28 years old. Halil Salihovic, 50 years old. Hamdia Salihovic, 29 years old. Hamid Salihovic, 53 years old. Hamid Salihovic, 33 years old. Hamid Salihovic, 58 years old. Hasan Salihovic, 27 years old. Hasan Salihovic, 44 years old. Hasan Salihovic, 48 years old. Hasan Salihovic, 49 years old. Hasan Salihovic, 63 years old. Hasan Salihovic, unknown age at death. Hasib Salihovic, 49 years old. Hijaz Salihovic, 24 years old.